Alright, so I could be like any other like all the other YouTubers and TV analysts and just bash the Houston Rockets for how poorly they played in the series. But one, I'd rather give them constructive criticism and feedback through an off-season shopping list video, which, by the way, if you missed my first one, the Toronto Raptors, I'm gonna link in the description below, and you'll see the little icons. Make sure you go and check that out. I think it was a really good video, and people should watch it and leave a like. And number two, I want to talk about the Lakers because, in my opinion, they're looking pretty damn good right now, and not enough people are talking about how well they've been playing throughout the playoffs so far. So I might as well do it myself. Alright, so this is still a reactionary video, but I have stats prepared for you guys, which I'll still put up on the screen, but I have stats prepared right in front of me this time, so I am more prepared. But yeah, like I said, I want to talk about the Lakers and how well they've been playing throughout the playoffs so far. And man, first I just want to just start with, how they look on the court. And they look really, really good. Like, just offensively, you think about it, they play basically a very similar style to the Rockets, except the Lakers, they have more size and they don't go with the super small ball like the Rockets do. If you think about it, both teams like to get on transition and put up shots, especially three-pointers, relatively quickly. They like to get on transition, and when they're forced to go in the half court, they go relatively heavy ISO. Whether it's with the Rockets, they go with Harden and Westbrook. With Lakers, they go with LeBron and AD. The thing with the Lakers is that the Lakers make it work because, first of all, you have LeBron. LeBron is one of the best ISO players in the game, and you have AD, who's basically a walking mismatch for a lot of players in the league, are just on the court at all times. And they're really good at their driving kick offense, where LeBron is just so strong, he can muscle himself in the paint, and because of his excellent court vision, he's able to kick it out or pretty much find any shooter at all times, which really works. And you have AD, who's underrated as a passer as well. People forget that he was a point guard in high school, but he still has that vision. So you have AD and LeBron, who are two walking mismatches for any team they face, and their court vision, where they're able to find shooters at all times. And they were just killing the Rockets throughout the series with their shooting. Like, in this series alone, and I'm talking about their 4 wins as well. In game 2, they hit 12 threes. In game 3, they hit 10 threes. In game 4, they hit 9 threes. And then in game 5, they hit 19 threes. 19. Now, to be fair, the Lakers are kind of like the Rockets, where they go through like some cold spells from 3. Like, if you notice, in the first quarter, I believe they hit 7 threes, which is why they got to that big lead so quickly. But then they kind of got cold in the second and midway through the third quarter, which is why the Rockets were able to get back and slowly crawl their way back into the game, rather. But then they found their stroke again near the end of the third quarter and just absolutely just cruised from there. So when the Lakers are on, especially when they're hitting their shots, they're basically unstoppable. And one person who's been a surprise, and he's pretty much gotten criticized for his inability to consistently shoot the 3, has been LeBron. Here's a fun fact for you guys. Do you guys know that LeBron is the team's leading 3-point shooter throughout the playoffs? He's hit 23 3-pointers for the Lakers in the playoffs so far. That's the number one on the team. He's hit 23 threes. He's doing that while averaging 26.6 points, 10.3 rebounds, and 8.8 assists in the playoffs so far. So LeBron is doing LeBron things, and he's hitting threes on top of that. that basically makes them unstoppable. And speaking of, and moving on to AD is doing his thing. He has 8 double doubles in their 10 playoff games so far, so he's doing what he needs to do. And also, if you look at their 8 playoff wins so far, so not counting game ones of both of their playoff series, they're shooting 52.6% from the field, 39.3% from three, and they're averaging 118.9 points per game. So I don't know what it is with the Lakers and game ones, but in game one of both of their series, they just look really like a step slow, and then in games 2 through 5, they just, I don't know, I guess game one is a wake up call for them, because then games 2 through 5, they kick it up a notch, they wake up, and they look like their old selves that we saw from, before the season was suspended. And also, I wish, here's the thing too, I really wish that these websites had points in the paint more, because I wanted to see how many points in the paint the Lakers were averaging throughout the playoffs, because that's another thing too, is that even just from game 5 alone, even when the Lakers, they had that cold spell in the second and third quarters where they weren't really hitting their threes, they're still doing a good job of attacking the Rockets defense and getting easy looks in the paint. So now I know part of it is because the Lakers have a lot of size, but still, they're still, that doesn't excuse the fact that they're still getting the paint and scoring out well. Now, this is from NBA.com. They are averaging 49.6 points in the paint in the playoffs, which is number 1 among the teams who are still left in the playoffs. I just wish I knew how many points in the paint they had for each individual game, because again, like I said, they're really getting to the paint at will. And I said, most of that is thanks to LeBron and AD just being walking messages, just getting to the paint at will. Whether if they don't find open shooter, they're able to score in the paint at will. Especially LeBron. LeBron's had some really great drives in the paint, and he's just looked really explosive. So that's really nice to see, especially considering that the schedule is so condensed and teams are playing every other day, and it's really easy, to get mentally tired, or I guess even physically tired too. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Yeah, the Lakers look really good right now. They look unstoppable. That's because of the title of this video. The Lakers look unstoppable right now. They're really, on top of their game right now. So I'm looking forward to their conference finals matchup with the Clippers, because like I said, I still think the Clippers are going to beat the Nuggets in game 6. I don't see the Clippers blowing that series. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. And yeah, that's it.